How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. My goodness gracious, I'm going to refrain from swearing, but I do not even know how to start this off. As a Chicago Bears fan, something that you hope for, something that you try and manifest, never really goes your way in terms of the Bears and the entirety of Chicago sports. But oh my goodness, did that happen last night. Today, in episode number 231 of the podcast, we are going to be reacting to the Chicago Bears trading up and drafting Ohio State's Justin Fields. They got their quarterback of the future. They got their franchise man. So let's talk about it. Before I introduce myself and my co-host, I would like to say we're going to keep pumping out the draft content to you guys and the Bears content in general the entire summer. If you are new to the channel and want Bears content every day of the week, do us a favor, drop a like and subscribe, and we're going to keep coming back to you guys with the best Bears content on the web. I am your host, Chris Malpe. Today, I am joined on the right of me by both of my co-hosts, Parth and Jaylen McClinton. Guys, I don't know about you. I'm still on cloud nine. I woke up this morning, and I still feel like I'm in a dream. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Definitely surprised and shocked. I don't even know what to say. It's kind of hard to.
We all said this was going to happen, but I don't know if we believe that it was actually going to happen, and it just freaking happened.
And it just happened, and I don't know how to explain myself anymore. I don't know how to piece my words. Exciting move, that's for sure. It's got the fan base hyped. I know all Bears fans are excited about Fields. Whether or not you wanted him or not, it brings excitement to a team when you get a new quarterback, especially someone like Fields, who's flashy, who's athletic, and who's got a pretty big arm. His arm is underrated, but we'll get into that later. But, I know everyone's hyped up about this, and I just don't.
Yeah, you don't even know what to say. Jaylen, you were on the stream last night. Parth and I had some difficulties and weren't able to make it, but you were going absolutely bonkers. How are you feeling now about 16 hours later?
The same way I felt. Like it was like an adrenaline rush, man. I wish I could go back.
It was so fast too.
It's like a high.
Giants trade to Bears, Justin Fields. It was like within 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a high. You wanna let me not say that, but it's a good feeling. It's a
body high. Yeah,
there you go. It's a rush of adrenaline that when it happens, you feel amazing, and when it dies down, you're like, bro, I can't believe we just went through that. So obviously, like you said, we were live streaming, so my reaction is was on camera, was live. Zach was like, it's happening. I'm like, what do you mean it's happening? Look at the TV, see it's trade, and it Bears on the clock. I'm like, bro, this is really happening. I was. It's crazy, like, cause like Parth, like you and both Parth said, we were talking about this. Yeah, Bears are going to trade up and they're going to take Justin Fields, but
I think we all thought in the back of our heads that maybe it was going to happen, but the actual reality of it is,
once he started falling, once I realized that Denver took Patrick Surtain, I was like, bro, it's going to be a very high chance that we can get him, or we're going to be able to trade up for him, and then obviously that's when the Eagles traded up, and we traded up right after the pick. And once we were on the clock, I knew it. I knew we were going to take Justin Fields. Yeah. I was nervous for like 5 seconds. I thought we were going to take Mac Jones, but I was like, nah. Pace is not stupid. He does stupid stuff sometimes, but he's not stupid.
Yeah. And the Bears trading up with the New York Giants, a first in 2021, a first in 2022, as well as a fourth in 2022 and a fifth in 2021. So the Bears lose 164. But oh my goodness, Justin Fields, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's jobs may have just been saved. And this is the guy that Nagy wanted. Nagy said last night that Fields had the highest football IQ of any player he's ever talked to. And on a Zoom call, he talked to him a little bit about the Bears' scheme and said, hey, do you remember what we talked about a couple of weeks ago in terms of our scheme? And Fields repeated it right back. So what a crazy story. Justin Fields is in Chicago. So let's hop right into this. I mean, there's no better place to start than here at Parth. I want to get your instant reactions to the pick, because you obviously weren't in a live stream. There was so much going on. Obviously, with the Eagles trading up for Devonta Smith right before. So take us through your thoughts on when you heard the Bears were trading up and when the pick was eventually made.
So, I think when it started getting around 8, I was getting a little nervous. I was like, any of these teams can take Fields at this point. And then I was like, the Bears have to trade up at some point. I didn't know who it was going to be with. I was surprised that the Giants did it. And when I saw that little, thing pop up that said the Bears have traded up with the Giants, I knew it was time to get a quarterback. I still didn't know who it was going to be. It could have been Mac Jones. We never know. But
which honestly, in hindsight, wouldn't have been that bad. I mean, we all wanted. I was talking to Jaylen before we started recording this. Mac Jones, good for him for landing in New England.
Yeah, I think he's in the best spot for him.
In hindsight, that wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, but Chicago would have been freaking out this morning.
Exactly. Chicago wouldn't have been happy. There would have been some storylines that would have been discussed.
Trubisky 2.0.
Trubisky 2.0. The Bears front office is racist and all that stuff would have been coming out. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited that we took Fields. It was the best pick. I think Fields, like I said, is the second most talented quarterback in this draft. Just behind Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how he dropped. Wilson and Lance. I don't know how these guys went over him, but I'm excited to have Fields. He's got a lot of talent. He's going to have a lot of talent to work with on this offense. So, Allen Robinson's an experienced wide receiver to come with. That's someone that he's going to be happy to have. Darnell Mooney, he's an absolute stud. This offensive line is looking better. Sam Mustipher, Cody Whitehair, James.
We'll talk a little bit further down the road about what the Bears should get done today in terms of that as well. But that's going to be important. So, my goodness, I mean, so many things had to happen for the Bears to get this done. And it happened basically perfectly. Trey Lance or Mac Jones had to go 3, and we knew that was probably going to happen, but it did. Trey Lance went 3rd overall. We need the Lions to be confident in Jared Goff enough to not take a quarterback. By the way, they got a great pick in Penei Sewell. Good for them. We needed the Panthers to be confident in their quarterback, Sam Darnold, who's been scrutinized. They just extended the 5th-year option. They just took the 5th-year option on him. They stuck with him. We needed the Broncos, a team that has had a ton of smoke around them with Aaron Rodgers and everything going on. We haven't even gotten to talk about Aaron Rodgers yet. That's such a huge situation with the NFC North. And we'll eventually get to that later this week once this draft boils over. But the Broncos needed to stick with their quarterback room, giving Drew Lock one more chance, also bringing in Teddy Bridgewater. They did that. We needed the Eagles to trade up and not trade for a quarterback. And they ended up going with Devonta Smith and sticking with Jalen Hurts. And then the Bears finally had the opportunity to move up. There were other teams that wanted to move up. Minnesota wanted a quarterback behind Kirk Cousins. Washington football team wanted to move up. The Patriots stuck where they were, but still got a quarterback. I'm so happy this happened, man. I really manifested this. I tweeted on Monday, I'm going to spend the entire week manifesting Justin Fields to the Bears. In our mock draft 3.0, I had them trading up to 8 to get him. In the mock draft on Instagram, I had them trading up to 6 to get him. And for them to get him at 11, oh my goodness. I'm just so happy. It never really falls into place as a Bears fan, stuff that you hope for, but that is the exact blueprint that I wanted the Bears to take last night. And even though they did give up a first rounder next year, they didn't give up too much, only 1 first rounder. They were still able to retain their 2nd and 3rd round picks this year, which makes day 2 very, very interesting today. And we'll get onto that a little bit later. But I am overwhelmed with joy. I still feel like it's a dream. And I'm really excited. Justin Fields, someone who I think is the 2nd best quarterback in the entirety of this draft, is coming to Chicago with vengeance, and he's going to sit behind Andy Dalton at least for a little bit before getting his shot in Chicago. But I'm so happy. Jaylen, you talked about it a little bit earlier, but if you'd like to expand on it a little bit, what were your instant reactions to this pick when it happened last night?
Finally, we got a quarterback. So I know I was talking about this in the stream when the pick first happened. I was like, when we first traded up for Mitchell, I thought we were going to take Jamal Adams or Deshaun Watson. I didn't think Mitchell Trubisky was going to be the pick, and obviously that pick was criticized by a lot of people. A lot of people were happy about it. A lot of people were upset about it, and we were getting criticized. Oh, you just traded up one spot to take Mitchell Trubisky, who was a project type quarterback who only started 13 games in his college career. And you don't know what to expect out of him. And obviously, it didn't work out. He did have one solid season for us in 2018, but the last 2 years were very underwhelming for where he was drafted at. Now coming in, the 2021 draft class pacing Nagy on the hot seat for potential reasons. Obviously Nagy hasn't had a losing season with us since he's been here. 3 years and made the playoffs twice out of his 3 seasons that he's been here. We haven't, like I said, we haven't had a losing record. But Pace, this is his 7th draft. He's traded up and took 2 quarterbacks. One failed, and this is probably his last quarterback he's probably going to ever take as an NFL GM. With the Chicago Bears. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking like
he knew he needed a quarterback. He knew it.
Yeah, he knew he needed a quarterback. If you wanted to save his job, you trade up and get a quarterback. Rather, Justin Fields is probably more than likely going to save your job than Mac Jones would. But like I said, so we finally had my reaction was, one, how did he fall to 11? This is the second best quarterback on some people's boards, third on a lot of people's boards. And he's the 4th quarterback taken. He fell out the top 10. I'm just thankful we were able to trade up for him. And we didn't get criticized at all. Obviously, people are saying, he's a Ohio State quarterback. Ohio State quarterbacks don't do good in the NFL. But you can't criticize what college he went to. Obviously, he's a way better prospect than Dwayne Haskins was coming out of Ohio State 2 years ago. Obviously, a couple more quarterbacks here like JT Bear, who went undrafted, in Cardale Jones, who wasn't that good in the NFL. He's a way better prospect than they were. So we finally got a quarterback. Like Pace said, he's gonna come here and work hard. And he also runs a 4.4, so not much you can complain about right there. Obviously, we did give up a 1st-round pick and a 4th from next year, but that's what you have to do when you want a franchise quarterback. Exactly. The Texans did it, and it worked out for them, even though they're bad right now. And the Chiefs did it, and they have an MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. So that's just the cost of it.
And a reminder about that Patrick Mahomes, he was picked right around the same area as Fields.
Yeah, he was picked at 10.
And who was the one that developed him behind a veteran quarterback? Alex Smith was there. Matt Nagy was there. And now Matt Nagy is in Chicago and got to pick his quarterback. A lot of similarities between last night and 2017. Andy Dalton, Mike Glennon both promised the starter. The Bears making a move up. Hopefully this time they've got their guy, and I'm surely confident that they do. Guys, quick question, and this just needs to be a one-word answer. Was it worth it trading up for Fields? Do you think down the road that this will be looked at as worth it? Yes. Yeah.
Obviously.
Jaylen?
Do I have to answer that? I don't want to speak it in the air, but even if Fields is not this quarterback we think he is, are you going to criticize Pace for doing this when a lot of people are like, why is Fields falling?
Yeah, and you see the praise from the national media. The Chicago Bears aren't normally a team that gets praise from the national media. That's probably one of the weirdest parts about this.
Exactly.
Is that everyone on consensus on all panels is agreeing that this was a home run pick, possibly even the steal of the draft. So I think definitely down the road, we'll have to see when Fields ends up playing. We'll get into that now. But I definitely think trading up will be worth it. Let's talk a little bit about when his time will come in Chicago. We've had these conversations in the past about Mitchell Trubisky, about when Nick Foles is going to get subbed in. So, Parth, I'm going to start with you. Fields is obviously a very flashy pick now in Chicago. Andy Dalton's still on the roster. They still owe Nick Foles $9 million, and he's going to gladly collect that sitting on the bench, whether it be in Chicago or somewhere else. I'm not sure if they'd be able to move him at this point. But when do you think Fields' time will come in Chicago? Is he going to be the week 1 starter? They're paying Andy Dalton $10 million, and it seems like he knew what he was getting himself into. They recommitted to Dalton being the starter last night. So when do you see Fields coming in? Is it week 1? Is it week 4? Is it around week 8, mid-season? Or do you think they do the Kansas City approach and not start him till 2022? When do you think we see Justin Fields number 1 out on the field?
When I was listening to Ryan Pace last night, his little press conference at Kicking Fields, he was talking a lot about, following what the Chiefs did or whatever, they did it with Mahomes there at Kansas City. He brought that up, I think, 2 to 3 times. He even brought up the story about Mahomes and what's it called, Coach Nagy had. So I think they're really invested in taking that Mahomes type of route with Justin Fields. Us Bears fans would love to see him out there week 1, obviously. That'd just be exciting to see Justin Fields out in the field, but I don't think that's right for him. I think he definitely needs some time on the bench. Whether that's a full season, I hope not. I don't think I can wait a full year of, of Andy Dalton watching, but I would love to see Justin Fields come in halfway through the year. I think that'd be perfect for him. 8 weeks of learning with Nick Foles probably and Andy Dalton. Can't get any better than that. He's also going to have John D. Filippo, a great offensive mind, quarterback guru around the league. And then Bill Lazor and obviously Matt Nagy, both of those guys with him as well. I think 8 weeks of learning, seeing what goes on in the NFL, seeing how the defenses work, I think it'd be good for him.
Yeah, I would be shocked if we didn't see Justin Fields in 2021. I'm going to go a little bit earlier than you. I'm going to say we see him by October. 4 to 6 weeks, he probably sits out in my mind. I think we know what he brings to Chicago. He's someone who plays incredibly well on a big stage. We saw him do it in the college football playoff multiple times. So I think we see Fields sooner than later. It's not a knock on Andy Dalton whatsoever. Fields brings so much hope to this city. So at least if they did go that Kansas City route of letting him sit for a year, there would still be hope for the future. Last night, in my opinion, determined whether or not the Bears' not Super Bowl window, but window of being a solid competitive team were to close or not. And I definitely think it stays open with Fields. So I think hopefully after about a third of the season, we would be able to see Justin Fields. But Jaylen, seems realistic that Andy Dalton's still going to get the week 1 start unless Justin Fields does surprise us in training camp, which by all means he definitely could. But when do you expect to see him play?
I wouldn't be surprised if he started week 1, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he didn't start till, like you said, week 4, week 5. To make him get readjusted into this offense. It's still going to be, I think, majority off season, like voluntary workouts and stuff like that until, possibly training camp, because we're finally coming back to, I guess you can say, a normal life, even though people are still going to be wearing masks for like the next couple years. But, we're going to have a full training camp. We're definitely going to have a preseason this year, I'm pretty sure. So we'll be able to see him in the preseason, try to impress the coaches and stuff like that. But that's what I'll probably say. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into camp and, outplays Andy Dalton, because right now he's a better player or a better quarterback skill-wise than Andy Dalton is. Andy Dalton, obviously has been in the NFL for a long time, led his team to multiple playoff appearances and stuff like that. But realistically, I'll say about week 4, week 5.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about tonight because it's still important knowing that the Bears did keep those picks around. Let's talk about what we want the Bears to get done on day 2 before we close this off. This has to be really quick, and I'm pretty sure we're all going to be in consensus. The 3 positions that the Bears need to attack tonight are going to be wide receiver, offensive tackle, and cornerback. Quarterback. No, I do not want David Mills on the roster. But I think realistically, if I'm the Bears, I'm going offensive tackle with 52. There's a lot of players that are still available, some of which are going to slip. Dylan Raduns, someone who's been highly praised on the podcast throughout the last couple of months, is going to hopefully be there. Liam Etchenberg out of Notre Dame, Spencer Brown out of Northern Iowa, whose stock has shot up. And then the 2 that we thought were going to go in the first round that may continue to slip, Tevin Jenkins and Samuel Cosme. Those guys are there as well. So I think probably offensive tackle in this second round. I think you can still get a plug-and-play starter, get some protection for Justin Fields for the imminent future, as well as Andy Dalton. I think that's the way you go. And then in the third round, I think you can honestly flip a coin. I've been someone who's said in the past you don't need a wide receiver this year because Allen Robinson's going to be around, but I could see the Bears trading Anthony Miller away tonight, maybe to get a 4th or 5th round pick, and I think you could find a great replacement for him in the third round. Some of the hotter receivers that you're going to see go earlier on in this round, in the second round at least, are going to be Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore, Tylan Wallace. But I still think there's some great players that are going to be available down deeper. Guys like Amir Smith-Marset, guys like Watt Fillier. Those are probably the 2 guys I'm highest on. I'm not sure if they're going to be worthy of a 3rd round pick, but probably 4th or 5th round. But I'm not too sure how the cornerbacks stack up. I'm confident for some reason in Desmond Trufant and Jaylen Johnson, and if not, Kindle Vildor filling in there. But I definitely think you have to go offensive tackle with that first pick, and then it doesn't really matter with the next one. I still think you can find a quality player in that 3rd round. Any objections, guys? You guys both on the same page as me?
Yeah, I think offense line is the best position for the Bears to upgrade here. I would love to see an offensive tackle. I think it makes the most sense. Wide receiver, cornerback, right after that. I think you stack those positions up as well. But I think offensive tackle makes the most position at this. I don't think Pace has ever drafted a tackle or like lineman before like third or fourth round. So this would be
James Daniels, Cody
James
Whitehair.
someone in the not in the
Yeah,
first.
but based on Pace's history, it would make sense to grab a lineman here, right, Jaylen? You think that's the path they should go?
Oh yeah, of course. We were talking about this earlier. We were still in shock that we took Fields. Like, we were able to trade up 9 spots and still keep our second and third round picks.
Yep.
So I think Pace knows. I'm confident in Pace. Ability to draft. We all know he's a very good drafter, especially in those middle rounds. I know he missed out on a couple first round picks, but it is what it is because he's been able to make up for it. In the second, in the third round when we picked David Montgomery, and obviously we know about his picks in the fourth and the fifth when it comes to Eddie Jackson, Tariq Cohen, Jordan Howard, Adrian Amos, and stuff like that. So yeah, I
Pace
definitely
ready to pounce.
Yeah, for sure. But hopefully we can get Dylan Radunes out of South Dakota.
North Dakota.
Elijah Moore, if he's still there at 52, I doubt he will be though. I'm surprised he fell to the second round. Maybe a Terrence Marshall, but I feel like definitely offensive tackle is our main priority. In the third round, if somebody there at wide receiver we're a fan of and we're very high on, take him at 83 or DB, whether it's a corner or a safety, doesn't matter to me.
It seems like in the third round, whoever's the best player at either of those positions you take. But it would be great if we could see Jenkins, Cosme, Brown, Etchenberger, Radunes follow the Bears. I'm pretty sure all of us would be fine with either of those guys. All of them plug-and-play offensive tackles. A lot of deep offensive tackle talent in this year's draft, so I'm glad the Bears were able to keep that second-round pick. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the Bear Down Podcast. Once again, if you want Bears content every day of the week, do us a favor, drop a like and subscribe and follow if you're listening on any of the podcasting platforms. We will be live streaming the second and third rounds of the draft tonight. Jaylen McClinton will be hosting alongside Zach Rimbos. Going through the second and third round, still very important as the Bears still have a couple needs to address, but Chicago can calm down a little bit and celebrate this weekend as Justin Fields is a Bear. If you guys want more content from us, head over to our website, beardown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs throughout this weekend, recapping all of the Bears' picks and giving them grades. So be sure to head over to our website, check that out if you have any extra time. If you'd like to find the podcast on Instagram or Twitter, you can see giveaways that we do, previews of special guests that we're having on, and give us insight to what you guys want to see on this page moving forward. Do us a favor and check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Bear Down. And finally, you can find the links to all of our social media pages down in the description. Myself as well as Parth and Jaylen. I highly advise you guys follow our Twitter accounts. We've been very active with draft coverage throughout the entirety of the first round and will continue to be as we move forward. So be sure to go check out our Instagram and Twitter pages. The links to those are down in the description. Parth Shaw, Jaylen McClinton. Cloud9 surely feels nice, but we can't get too ahead of ourselves. We still have some stuff to get done tonight. We've still got a long future ahead of ourselves with Justin Fields, but any last words before we close this one out?
Yeah, the Bears definitely have to stay productive. There's a lot more positions to fill up in the draft besides quarterback. Offensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. There's a lot of needs we need to fill up. And the Bears have a chance to do it this draft. I think it's pretty deep. So second round is loaded right now. I would like to even trade up again into the second round if that's a possibility. If they want to talk that out, because I'd rather get 2 second rounders that are
if they could somehow
players.
Get Fields and Tevin Jenkins, even if it caused them to trade up twice, that would be a home run.
That would be so nice. I think it would put us right at the top of the division if Aaron Rodgers is gone from Green Bay.
Yeah, and that's definitely something we'll have to discuss in the future.
Exactly.
What a day yesterday. What a day yesterday. Jaylen, any words before we close this one out?
I'm about to go to work my butt off for 3 hours before the draft. So it's gonna. I think today's gonna be an exciting day as well. We have a second and a third. I don't remember the last time we had a second and a third round pick. It's been a while.
And a first round pick.
Yeah, and a first. Pace's been doing a lot of trading, so we have 3 straight picks. I wouldn't be surprised if we traded back to get some more capital in that 4th and 5th round, since we don't have a 4th this year regardless, and we've traded our 5th. But who knows? Pace, I just posted this on Twitter. I never gave up on Pace. You could ask Chris and Parth.
That's very true. I'll give you
never
that.
said fire Pace. I did say this was if he didn't make any type of move. I was going to be done with him after this season, but obviously he traded up to get our future quarterback in. I couldn't be happier. Now go get that offensive tackle to protect him and get a weapon for him. And it's going to be a good draft for me.
Yeah, we'll see if Justin Fields can save some jobs Bears definitely nailed that first-round pick, and let's see if they can continue on the success tonight. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Chicago, rejoice! And as always, Bears fans, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you guys back again tomorrow. More draft coverage coming this entire weekend, so be sure to stay tuned, and we'll see you there. Peace out.